Girlie, I've heard you want to change your life and you want to change it quick. Well, don't worry, I've got you. But we're not going to do it the sweet way. We're not going to do it the nice way, because to get the life you want, you need to be evil. You need to be an evil woman, and I'm going to teach you how to become that woman. Today, we're going to dive into 10 laws of power that will make you an evil woman who gets everything you've ever wanted. And a little disclaimer before we get into this video. This video is for women that want to change their life. This video is for you if you're ready to be strategic to get the things you want, and you're ready to step into the era of you being the woman you've always dreamt of being. So let's get into the 10 laws of power that are going to make you the evil woman you deserve to be, because being an evil woman is a good thing, because it means you stand on your own business and put yourself first. The first law you're going to have to apply is play dumb. And you might think to yourself, I can't play dumb. I need to show people how smart I am. I worked so hard to be smart. If you think you need to show people how smart you are, then you are dumb. Because the thing that happens when you're trying to prove how smart you are to people that don't care if you're actually smart but just want you to do stuff for them is that they see, oh, you're the type of person who wants validation. So I'm going to give you tasks and efficient things to do. And then you feel happy knowing that you're the good girl who took care of things and you proved how smart you were. They get you to do what they want you to do, and you get to feel like you're getting validation. This is why playing dumb is essential if you want to protect your energy and be an evil woman. It doesn't mean you're stupid, like thinking that Europe is a country or you don't know the difference between green and blue. Playing dumb has everything to do with understanding that spending your energy trying to convince people you're smart does not make you smarter. It just makes you drained because you're trying to convince everybody that you're smart instead of actually convincing yourself you're smart. Smart people play dumb around people in quote unquote bad environments they don't want to be in, because they understand that it is better to be seen as the stupid person who doesn't quite understand what's going on and who's kind of living in their own little fairy tale land and might be a little ditzy and might be a little too into their look, than it is for them to be the person who is both beautiful, smart, got things going on, and it's always like up on their thing. It is always better, especially if you're a pretty woman, to be a dumb woman rather than being the completely smart woman. And this is especially if you're trying to move into better environments, because if you're a really, really smart woman, but you're also really, really beautiful, people are usually not going to believe that if they have a scarcity mindset, which people in not the best environments usually have. They don't think that you can be both smart and beautiful. They don't think that you can have everything that you want. So what they think is that you being both smart and beautiful is a threat, because that means you're taking, like you have too much, you are too much. Instead of them thinking, wow, you can really have it all, they think this person is actually taking from you. Also, as a woman, arguing with stupid people about how smart you are does not make you smart. It makes you both look stupid from a distance, which is why it's important to understand that when you are in certain environments, especially when you're out and about around strangers, it is always better to feed into the idea of being a dumb woman, more so just a little clueless, doesn't understand quite everything that's going on, because it will leave people having to explain themselves and they will let you off the hook. Instead of you engaging in back and forth energy exchange with people trying to explain yourself, you playing a little dumb like, oh, I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me? Or being a little too overly happy, overly excited, only talking about fashion, nails, hair, all of that. It's gonna let people let you go easier, so you're gonna have an easier time leveling up and working your evil master plan. And at the same time, it's also gonna make you use the law of attraction to your own benefit, because instead of focusing on trying to make people understand you and see how smart you are and value you and validate you, you focus on validating yourself, and you start focusing your energy on all of the things you want. So when you speak things into existence, you speak the things you want, the things you like, the trips you want to go on, the makeup you want to own, the bags you want to own. You speak that into existence. Because over explaining yourself to people, your energy being like ping pong back and forth between people, that's not going to get you what you want. It's just going to make you more tired so that you can't go back home and work on yourself. And that's why evil women learn how to play dumb. They learn how to mitigate conversations, like change the focus onto something, fun, positive, or stupid even. They make people talk more than them so that they can just evaporate into the thin air, or they can make people think that this person is actually not as much of a threat as they might think they are. As a woman, it's just better to play dumb if you just want to move in peace a little bit. The next law that will make you an evil woman and make you the best evil woman ever is never be too perfect. If you actually want to get things done and you want to be an evil genius level of efficient and you actually want to accomplish the things you want to accomplish, you have to get good at never being too perfect. What does never being too perfect mean? It means you are not someone who's too focused on making sure that everything is scripted, everything is set up this way, and you can only move once this and this and this is in order. Once you have this partner, once you have this job, once you have this hair, this whatever, that's when you can make moves. No, we're done with that. You can never be too perfect. Especially because if you are too perfect and always trying to plan things out, first and foremost, it will throw yourself off from actually taking action and getting what you want, because you're going to try to always be perfect before you make a move, and then you're never going to make a move because perfection doesn't exist. But at the same time, being too perfect is also something that's going to make people really scared of you. I myself used to be the straight A student back in school. I even won an award for this year's know-it-all, not understanding that it was actually very backhanded. I was always trying to make sure that everything was perfect. Everything was like literally to a T. And I would freak out if things weren't perfect, which meant that I didn't actually progress. I was just trying to make sure I didn't freak out if something wasn't exactly how I wanted it to be. Not only did that make me extremely like stuck up, but it also made me not go for the things I wanted. It made me focus on trying to make sure everything was like perfect all the time. An evil woman is a woman who's not too perfect and who has like a sporadic, mysterious, a little wild side, and who's just trying to go for things. And the reason why that's also really good is because it disarms people. It makes people think that you are less of a perfect person, and it's gonna make people see less flaws in you, because if you are too perfect, people are going to try to find something imperfect about you, and then they're going to attack you more. But on the other end, if you're someone who has like a couple flaws, or even share a couple embarrassing stories, like you can even try to make them up if you don't have any embarrassing stories. That's a really, really good way to disarm people. The reason why that's good is because people will be like, oh, you're human after all. And it's also going to make you have an easier time just going for what you want, because you know, like, you're not going to be perfect. You're just going to be audacious. It is going to make you have a calmer and easier time getting what you want. And it's also going to make people less suspicious of you if you're someone who's like not perfect. And that's why I actually encourage a lot of women to lean into more of the messy girl rather than the perfect, like, clean girl who's got everything set up. Because if you are a messy girl and a loud girl, audacious girl, people will let you off the hook. The next law of power is use absence to increase respect and honor. Which means, girl, if you want to be an evil woman, you have to remove your energy from people a little more, especially the friends and family that you've been hanging around for ages. If you want people to respect you, and if you want to respect your own energy, you have to remove your energy, because first and foremost, you're not going to be able to see how much energy you were giving others until you sit with your own energy, and you're not going to probably realize how much of a people pleaser and non-evil you've been your whole life unless you actually sit with your own energy. Because when you're trying to give your energy to everybody all the time, you are just kind of like used to that feeling. You always want to give and give and give. But when you finally have to sit with your own energy, it's like, oh, I got all of this energy for myself. I actually got all of these things I can do. I have possibilities. I have people I can be. I have things I can literally achieve. You won't see that in yourself until you remove your energy. You won't respect your own energy until you remove your own energy. That is why absence increases respect and honor, not only from the people that you remove your energy from, like friends and family, but also from yourself. Because when you start having more respect for your own energy, how you spend your time, people are going to have more respect for your time and energy. It's literally law of attraction. Wherever attention goes, energy flows. Once you start seeing yourself as someone who deserves respect, someone whose energy is valuable, someone whose time and beauty and all of this deserves to be gatekept, then people will think that too. People will move accordingly to how you move. And that's why removing your energy, so you can sit, examine your energy, build your energy, feed your energy, sit with your energy, and actually protect it so that you're not just giving it out to people, hoping that you're gonna get some back if you share it all. That is a healthy thing to do, and it will make you an evil woman, because in the beginning, people are gonna be like, wow, you never talk anymore. Maybe it's your parents that will be like, wow, you haven't We haven't heard from you. But you need to resist the urge to be the one who's constantly texting back. And if you're someone who's always looking for other people's opinions every time you're trying to go shopping, every time you're trying, like you have a thought in your head and you're always texting people, this one's for you. You can't be texting people at any little thought you have. You can't be sharing every little thing you have in your head. You need to gatekeep that and work on that yourself, because people are not going to respect you if you're just like literally oversharing every little moment. Oh, like, should I buy this blouse? Would it look nice? I don't know. This and this and that. Done. Remove your energy to get respect for yourself and from others. Next law of power is court attention at all cost. As an evil woman, you can't be the person hiding in the shadows. You can be the person whose energy is like removed and people don't know exactly how you're moving, but you need to make yourself visible in a way where people are like, oh, so what's she up to? You need to keep people thinking about you, which means you need to court freaking attention. They say that all press is good press, which means that as a woman, as an evil woman, if you want your life to be your life where you feel fulfilled and you get the things you want, you also have to make your life about yourself. You have to court attention towards yourself. Where attention goes, energy flows. You have to put attention towards yourself. You have to feel comfortable with the attention. You have to feel comfortable with being the evil, toxic woman. You have to actually claim that you're the evil, toxic woman to yourself. You're not going to go out into the world and be like, I'm an evil woman. No, don't say that out loud. But you have to claim that with yourself. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to become much more comfortable with being visible once you claim that you don't need to be perfect and you're actually a bad woman. What's also going to happen then is you're going to be much more comfortable with the attention that comes with being who you want to be, because you're going to suddenly see, oh, whatever it is people are trying to tell you, that's only a reflection of them. It is not a reflection of who you are. People are going to think you are evil, but in reality, you're not evil. You're just literally leaning into who you want to be, which is why you need to get comfortable with the attention of being your true self, because your true self is a version of you that you've literally like probably pushed down and not really wanted to be out there because you wanted to feel super safe. That's why you need to tell yourself that you are evil. You can either live your whole life living by the book that you think other people have written, but there are actually no rules in real life. Or you can live your life understanding that some people are going to misunderstand you, but you're always here to hold your own hand. And that's why you got to court attention, even if people think that you're bad or you're wrong or you're evil. But also, courting attention sometimes has everything to do with being a little mysterious. That's why I'm saying on your social medias, don't be telling people everything that you're doing. Sometimes you go ghost for a couple days and then you post that you're out doing this and this and that. It's better for you to be the person who's like, oh, then you went on a vacation and people are like, wow, I didn't know she went on that type of vacation. And then you have like some cute candid pics from that vacation, rather than you posting every single little thing that you're doing and always including everybody. I mean, obviously you can do that too. You can be a vlogger, but even so, it's good for you to have people think, oh, she's a little mysterious. And mysterious doesn't even mean like, oh, she's mysterious like that. No, mysterious can also just be like fun and like a little unpredictable. And this leads me to the next law of power, which is enter action with boldness. An evil woman is a woman who understands that it's better to be audacious, it's better to be in focus, it's better to be the one who's visible than it is to be the one who's perfect. That is why a bold woman will always win over a woman who's trying to make sure everything is good. She's sweet, she's humble, she doesn't say too much, she's a little in the back. And this doesn't mean you have to be the one who's always in focus. It just means when you enter, when you do things, you do them with that little extra oomph. You're a little extra bold. This doesn't mean you have to go like into the room and be like, it's all about me, now look at me. No. It just means that you're bold. You laugh a little louder. You like singing, you like dancing, you give people compliments. You're a little extra nice, you're a little extra this. You wear crazy colors. Your makeup is really bold. All of this stuff. That will make you an evil woman, because it will make people first and foremost think that, oh, you being bold is just who you are. And that's also going to make people assume that whatever mistakes you make are also just a part of you being bold. It's a part of the personality hire that you are, which will actually make you have an easier time making mistakes. because it will just be like, oh, well, that's just a part of who she is. So let her just cook. Let her cook. Let her have fun. And it will also make you have an easier time switching things up, going where you need to go, because you're not caught up in trying to be this woman who's always trying to like make sure every little situation is controlled. No. You're a bold person. You're going to stick with it. And if you run into the wall, that's a funny moment and we're moving on. The next law of power is avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. If you're the type of person who always hangs around people who always want to talk about how hard they have it and, oh, the world is doing this and society this and society that, you got to stop that. If you want to be the evil woman who gets everything that you want, you also have to be the woman who respects your own energy, which means you have to understand if you're constantly listening to people who are negative, then that's what you're going to create in your reality. Because you know what happens when you're hanging around people who are constantly negative and you're a people pleaser? You're going to want to make sure that they feel comforted. And what they feel comforted by is you literally giving them permission to be negative, which means that you have to be constantly reminding them that it's okay to be negative. Like, oh, feeding into that negativity. This will mean that you will also be more negative because they might say like, oh my God, it was raining today, my hair got ruined. And you'll have to find something negative to say too, because you don't want to have them feeling lonely in their negativity. Same goes for victim mentality. They might share something that was unfair and how they were done wrong. And now you got to find something too. You will end up using the law of attraction against yourself because the things that they're speaking, you will be listening to them. So now you will be thinking about how that's happening in your reality, and you will be bringing more of that into your reality that way. And you might think that you're being evil for avoiding unhappy and unlucky people because everybody deserves a chance to be, heard. But you can never help these people, and you can never make them help themselves to help themselves. If you do not remove your energy and work on it so you can get to a place where you have the resources, the time, and the energy yourself. If you're tired of being drained, you have to remove yourself from people that are also drained themselves. If you constantly engage with people that have victim mentalities or are always negative, what's going to happen is if you're a people pleaser, you're going to want to make sure that they're constantly heard and, they get their needs met and they're not left behind. But they want to hear the stuff you're telling. They want their negativity to be met and heard and helped because that keeps them in the same state. It keeps them being able to do it again and again because they get energetic validation from sharing all of these traumatic things, from sharing negative things. So they're going to keep on doing it until you remove your energy from it. The best way to help people is to remove your energy from them. The best way to help yourself is to remove your energy from the negative. Because when they no longer get validation from being sour, negative, having a victim mentality, then they have to change it because then they have to sit with the energy themselves and they don't want to do that. They want to get the validation for it. And what's going to happen if you continue feeding into their victim mentality and listening and always like, oh, I hear that. And you come up with other negative things from your own life to make it seem like, oh, you're not that different from them. What's going to happen is you're going to end up developing a victim complex because you thought you were giving reciprocation so that one day you would be saved for being the good person who listened. And then you're going to feel like, well, that's never happening. And then you're going to end up having the victim mentality and then you're going to end up being that person. That's why it's very, very important to catch if you want to be the woman who gets what you want, because you're literally wasting your energy. These people are not going to change. These people are not going to freaking change. You have to remove your energy so that you can actually transform your own energy and they can realize that not getting validation is actually what they need in order for them to actually feed into something else that will make them happy. The next law you're going to have to apply is make your accomplishments seem effortless. How do you use that as an evil woman? Well, as an evil woman, you need to stop telling people about all the things you're trying to achieve, all of the goals you have, all of the things you're working on, especially if you're working on making yourself glow up and like working on your mental health. The reason why that might be seen as an evil woman thing is because when you do come out the other side and you do actually have healing and you have money and you have your social medias running, all of that stuff, the people that you didn't tell might be like, wow, you didn't tell us? And if you're someone who feels badly about not sharing things with people all the time, you're going to feel evil for doing that. But essentially, it's a really good thing for you to do because it preserves your energy. If you think about evil supervillains, You rarely have a clue exactly how their evil plan is gonna go till the end, where the Batman guy comes up and tries to fight the evil guy. You don't really have a clue how evil their plan is until they execute it in the end. There's always a buildup, and that's where it's very important as an evil girly to master making your accomplishments seem effortless. And seeming effortless is also not sharing with everybody on social media, like now you're doing this, now you're doing this, now you're doing that. You share the result instead of sharing all of the way through there. When you get to how many followers you want to get to, when you look the way you look and you want to look like that, you can share how you got there. But in order to protect your energy, you need to be a little evil and stop talking about it and how you get there. Because the evilness essentially is you understanding that it's a journey between you and you only. It's not somebody else's business. And that's why you are going to become an evil mastermind, because you're going to work on yourself by yourself. I mean, it's called a self-growth journey for a reason. Another law of power that will make you an evil woman is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm people. This means that you need to be good at lying in a way that makes you seem a little cuter and a little sweet. As I said before, tell people fake embarrassing stories so you know how the information that you give out is treated. Not only will it make you seem less perfect, which is a good thing to come off as, because then people are not going to think of you as a threat, but it's also a good idea when you're around new people to kind of like share a funny little story that you might think is not that embarrassing, but if you tell it in the right way, it's like, oh, one time I went to the beach and a seagull literally stole my towel and I had to run after it. It was super embarrassing. Maybe even share a flaw that you don't actually think you have. Like, oh my God, I'm actually embarrassed. I have such small feet. And see how people bring that up in conversation. This is an evil tip if you really want to get under people's skin. But if you're actually really confident, you don't even need to use this. You will just remove your energy if people are being disingenuous, and you can feel it in the energy. But it's always a good idea to sprinkle in a little bit of, oh, that's a little embarrassing, because it will distract people. It will distract people. And that's why it's good to be the one who's like, oh, this happened. It was super embarrassing. Because being the serious woman who's always like, then people will be like, oh. But if you're like, oh, I literally dropped my lipstick outside, and once I dropped down to find it, my jeans ripped. People will be like, oh, okay, she's not that serious. We don't have to worry about her. The next law of power is recreate yourself. Whether that means dyeing your hair, bleaching your hair, doing whatever it is you want to do to make yourself feel like that girl, you need to change things up. If you're not willing to change things up, how's the world going to know you're an evil woman? But more so, if you actually want to get the life that you truly want, you need to be willing to recreate yourself. You need to be willing to change your style, because a lot of the times we get very, very like defensive about who we think we are. It's like, no, this is my true self and I'm never going to change that. And like people literally have to like drag me out of being this person, and I'm not going to change anything unless everybody else changes first. Sometimes in order for your life to change, you have to be willing to make the change, even if you think that this is your true self. Because is it really your true self, or is your true self the version of you that has everything that you want? Can you really say that the version of you that you're defending so hard is your true self if you're still sad and miserable and you don't get the things that you want? Your true self is the version of you that has everything that you want. And you haven't met that version of you yet, probably. So you're going to have to change to become. You're going to have to let go of your old self and say thank you to your old self. And trust that whatever it is that you need is meant to come for you. So recreating yourself sometimes means stepping into a new era, trying out things you've never tried before. Like maybe you're someone who used to dress in a lot of streetwear and now you're trying to dress more feminine, more classy. Maybe you never wore makeup, now you're trying to wear makeup. If you're someone who's meant to be dressing in streetwear, the streetwear will come back to you. It will circle back, but you need to switch things up so you can see that you actually are capable of change. And changing your looks is the easiest way for you to see that you're actually capable of change in a way that feels like it's more easily graspable. Because a lot of things, like we feel like, oh, if we have to change our habits, oh, I gotta go for runs every day. That doesn't feel as easy to achieve as sometimes like, okay, we're dyeing our hair. Okay, we're doing makeup. Those small steps of recreating yourself will make you have an easier time taking bigger steps recreating yourself. And it will also make you feel like, oh, I actually can become whoever I want to be, and have you feel less limited. You'll be unlimited like Alphaba. And the last law of power is concentrate your forces, which means you gotta focus on yourself, girl. If you want to be the evil woman who gets everything that you want, you need to have your focus towards yourself. Where attention goes, energy flows, which means you need to put yourself first. If you ever want to be the evil genius who actually ends up helping people, you got to be comfortable with putting your energy into yourself and people thinking you're evil for a while because, oh, she's a little introverted and she doesn't really talk to people, and who does she think she is? Especially if you're trying to let go of your old life and old people that are not really serving you anymore. You need to concentrate your forces on creating something for yourself. You need to concentrate your forces on creating for yourself, which means that you need to concentrate your forces on having a business, on making you look better, like making sure you feel good about yourself. Looking better doesn't mean looking like a Victoria's Secret model. It means putting effort into yourself, making sure you try the things you want to try. You put what you want first, not always saying yes to everything that everybody else wants. It's, oh, you know, I didn't order this. I want something else. And not like, oh my God, I didn't order this. Give me something else. But like, hey, my life matters. And when you're around toxic people a lot, people are going to think you're evil for doing that. They're going to be like, wow, really? But once you start doing it, eventually you can't be around those people anymore. And then your attention towards yourself will actually pay off a lot. The thing I want you to think about is kind of like the going to the nail salon and then they do something with your nails that you don't like. You have to be the one who speaks up for yourself to get the things you want. What do you want? You are the one living your life, so speak it into existence. Focus your attention on it. Concentrate your forces on what you want, which means you also need to sit down and actually think about what it is that you want. You can't be thinking about all the things you don't want. You have to think about what you want. The thing that makes you a proper evil woman is a woman who doesn't have time and energy for the things she doesn't want. You're a woman who focuses on all the things you do want, and that makes you evil in other people's eyes, because to a lot of people, they want you to focus on their misery because they don't want to focus on what they want. They want you to focus on what they don't want so that you can focus on what you don't want, so none of you ever get what you want. You have to focus on getting what you want, which means that you have to shift your focus from all the things that don't serve you. I always have narcissistic people around me. Society is so bad, all of this, you have to focus that on too. I want so and so many subscribers. I want to make so and so much money. I want to have this and this specific job. You need to get really specific about the things that you want. And you probably are going to feel a little selfish and a little evil and a little bad for doing this because you probably haven't been the person who's been able to sit down and dream. You have probably felt like that was bad for you to think bigger, and people have probably told you that that's not reasonable and that's not that's not something that's going to happen. You got to sit down and you got to be the evil woman who applies these tips so you can get the things you want. You have to focus on what you want. You need to literally fill your head with all of the dreams you've ever had. People are going to think you're evil because you are someone who's willing to think bigger. And especially if you're in a limited environment, people are going to think you're evil, but you're not. You're just someone who's not willing to be chased by whatever misery they got going on in their own head. You're creating your own reality. So there we have it, girlies. These are the 10 laws of power that will make you an evil genius woman. A woman who basically gets everything that you want. A woman who steps into a life of gratitude, health, happiness, abundance, all of that stuff that you definitely want. A woman who's allergic to dust. A woman who gets what you want and gets it fast. Use these laws of power and you'll be guaranteed to be the woman that people might think is a little evil. They can't really point out why, but it's because you put yourself first and because you settle for nothing but what you actually want. So make sure you go and apply these laws and get ready to be the boss. Step into your evil self today. Go be toxic, go be evil, go be the woman you always dreamt of being. And in reality, you're not really evil or toxic. You just have to get over the idea you have in your head that you're evil and toxic for getting the things that you want. You're not here to live anybody else's life. You're here to live your life. Go be evil, go be toxic, go get your life the way you want it.